Well, if you're on the market for a small, affordable hatchback which offers you plenty of style on the outside, loads of room on the inside, and also comes with a fuel-efficient petrol engine, then the all-new Datsun Redi-Go is a car that you should check out. And why is that? Well, essentially because it offers you Datsun's no-nonsense Japanese engineering, and it also comes as a very good alternative to the Renault Kwid. But more on that later. Let's find out what this car is all about right now. Well, so here I'm inside the new Redi-Go, and let's talk about the plus points first, because there are quite a few inside this car. The first plus point, of course, is the fact that you get these huge windows, which means that this cabin feels very airy and very spacious, and much more spacious than it is. Also, because you sit up so high, you get a very nice and commanding view of the road ahead, which is very good when you're driving in tight city traffic. Well, in terms of design, it's not really an earth-shattering design. It's a very simple but logical design, to say the least. The good thing is that you get this one central AC vent-away, which is dedicated for the passenger at the rear. Seat comfort is good, bolstering is very good, and support for the lower back is pretty good as well. So overall, a good job by Datsun in terms of overall comfort as well as space inside the Redi-Go. Well, in terms of overall build quality, it is at par with the Renault Kwid as well as the Maruti Suzuki also. Well, in terms of practicality, it's a pretty good place to be. You get these two big bottle holders over here where you can, of course, keep your favorite fruity drink. You also get a big tray over here where you can keep your cell phone and wallet. There's also a tray right below the AC controls where you can keep your cell phone and wallet. But you also get one tray on the right side close to the driver, and you can keep a lot of stuff over here if you don't want to share it with the other occupants of the car. And at the moment, I'm in the mood for a small sweet. Well, the best part about the rear of the Redi-Go is the wide opening door, which means that getting in and out is a really breezy affair, especially for someone who is old. And that, along with the fact that you get these high set seats, means that you can really slide into this car rather than crouching and getting into it, unlike a lot of its rivals. Well, and once you are inside the Redi-Go, you will realize it is a pretty roomy place to be in. As you can see, headroom is pretty good for even someone who is my height, which for reference is 5'10". Also, Datsun have done a very smart thing. They have raised the front seats, which means you get a lot of place below them where you can stretch your feet. So that also adds to the sense of roominess as well as space inside the cabin. Knee room is pretty decent as well. The only downside is that it's not a very wide car at the back, which means that sitting three over here will be a bit of a pinch. Well, in terms of boot capacity, the Datsun Redi-Go is officially 222 liters, but it is of course behind its cousin, the Renault Kwid, because that car, remember, is 300 liters. The other bad point about this car is this huge loading sill, which means that if you have a big bag to load, you will have to lift it up like this and take it out. So in that sense, if you have a heavy object, you will have to put your back into it. But otherwise, it's a pretty decently shaped boot. It is a very square boot, remember. Well, so here I'm driving the all-new Datsun Redi-Go, and the first thing that you'll notice as soon as you start driving off this car is how light and how smooth this steering wheel is. Well, this steering wheel is so light that you can actually use your finger and turn it around or move it around, but that's of course something you don't really recommend. But that said, this light steering wheel means that parking this car into tight spaces is really a very easy affair. Well, in terms of overall smoothness as well as refinement, the 800cc engine on this car is at par with most of its rivals, including the Renault Kwid as well as the Maruti Alto. It's really at the top end of its rev band when you are revving this engine that it starts feeling a little stressed as well as a little strained. Well, this car, remember, has the same 800cc engine which also does duty on the Renault Kwid, and it makes about 54 bhp of power. Now, in terms of outright power delivery, this car is a little slow to respond to throttle inputs below 1600-1700 rpm. It's only after the revs increase from 1600 or 1700 rpm that this car starts feeling lively as well as keen, which means you will have to change gears a lot if you are stuck in a lower rpm to make sure that things move along. But in terms of the gearbox smoothness, it is at par with most of its rivals, yes, but that said, it's not as smooth or as sporty as the one on the Maruti Alto. So it's not really the best or as good as the best in the market at the moment. The good point, of course, is that the clutch is really very light and it's very linear to operate, which means that this car is pretty good for city traffic where you have to constantly keep changing gears. Well, where the Datsun Redi-Go really impresses is in the fuel efficiency department, and this engine delivers 25.17 kpl, which makes it one of the most fuel efficient cars on sale in India at the moment. Well, stability on the highway is pretty good, and if you are doing slow city speeds, then this car does soak in the bumps very well, and that's largely because it has a very long wheelbase. Remember, it is pretty long and much longer than the Maruti Alto's wheelbase. It's really the largest of large crevices which make their presence felt in the cabin. But that said, highway stability is very good on the redi-Go, and when you are doing speeds of about 90 or 100 kph, this car does feel pretty stable, and it doesn't have that same small car feel to it. It feels like you are driving a much more bigger and a much more expensive car when you are driving it on the highway. Well, the best part about the redi-Go is its light body weight, and what that means is that if you want brisk acceleration, all you need to do is just throw a gear down, press that accelerator pedal hard, and this car really does pick up momentum in the blink of an eye. Well, when you push it into a corner, there is plenty of body roll, but that's quite okay because most of the people who buy these cars don't really buy them for their sporty handling. They buy them more for practicality as well as the space that they offer. So in that sense, the redi-Go is quite okay. Well, even though the redi-Go doesn't come across as a sensational car, it does come across as a very sensible choice in the entry hatchback space. And if you are planning to buy your first car, then very few cars can match the fuel efficiency, price, space, as well as city-focused driving dynamics of this car. So what all that means is that it's time to stop being a badge snob and definitely take a look at the Datsun redi-Go.